let's rank some Linkin Park albums. What's up, you guys? It's Jonathan Carter back with another J Carter Movies. Today we're doing something a little different and we are ranking all Linkin Park albums. I just put a video out of my From Zero album review, Linkin Park's newest album. I am a massive Linkin Park fan. I first discovered them with Hybrid Theory and Meteora. I heard songs like In the End, Numb, Paper Cut, and I was like, this is the best music ever. And in 2017, tragedy struck the band as the lead singer passed away. And so the band went on a 7-year hiatus and they are back with not only a new album, but a new singer and a new drummer. So now that the album has been out for a while, I thought, having listened to it enough, I feel, why not rank all 8 studio albums from Linkin Park. Now, Linkin Park is a pretty divisive band, even within their own fan base, because all of their albums cover different sounds, so many different genres of music, and so you'll find a group that loves one album, but then another fan group hates that same album, and that goes for every single studio album. Just at the top, I'm not including 4 albums here. Those albums are Recharged, Reanimation, Collision Course, and Paper Cuts. Recharge and Reanimation are remix studio albums with like guests and things like that. Reanimation is a good album. I'm not the biggest fan of Recharge. That one went like really EDM for me right after Living Things. Collision Course I do enjoy, but that's more of a Linkin Park Jay-Z thing. And then Paper Cuts is their greatest hits album, and it just covers, songs that have already existed. It does have 2 debuts of QWERTY and Friendly Fire, which I love both of those songs. Just not including it here because, again, that's a rehash of all of their albums so far, except for From Zero. So that being said, before we jump into this ranking, please be sure to like and subscribe. That would really help me out a lot. And then I'm going to put a card up here of my From Zero album review. You can check that one out too. Let's get into it with number 8 in last place, The Hunting Party. Sorry for all my Hunting Party fans. While the album does have some pretty sick vinyl artwork, it also has a different artwork on like their actual album, their CD, or their Spotify thumbnail, all of that. It has exclusive vinyl artwork here. It does look pretty sick. Unfortunately, the album doesn't really resemble that for me. My biggest complaints with the album, it just feels raw and stripped down in the wrong kind of ways. It also feels like the band is trying to be something they're not, like they're trying to rekindle their old sound of Hybrid Theory or like even work before then as they were really getting started. And it just doesn't feel true to them. Not only is it kind of too heavy rock screamo for me that I don't really resonate with anymore, I just don't believe it's done in the best way that Linkin Park can do it. And that being said, there really aren't any clear hits or singles off of this album, and I think that's why this is the only album left off of Paper Cuts. There's no, if you go and look at that track list, there's no Hunting Party songs, and while I don't really agree with that, I kind of see where the band was going with it. I wish that every album was covered in their greatest hits, but they just decided not to, and that's their choice. Also, fun fact, this is, well, not really fun fact, but this is the only studio album to not go number 1. This, I think, debuted at number 3 on like the Billboard Hot 100 or whatever it is. Favorite song off of this one either has to be Final Masquerade or Rebellion. Those are 2 very different songs, but I do enjoy the identity of those songs. Least favorite off of this album, War. It really does pack like a 2-minute punch. It's just a little too intense for me. I think the lyrics are very strong, but I just don't really resonate with that song, and like the rest of this album, I just don't really resonate with it, and that's why it comes in last. 7th place, Minutes to Midnight. I can already tell this is going to be a pretty divisive list just off of these first 2 albums. Again, kind of the same thing with The Hunting Party. Linkin Park really changed their sound after their first 2 albums, and I definitely respect that about them. They didn't want to be just the same band known for, the same sound or new metal or whatever. They wanted to branch out, explore new things as a band, as a group. While this album is good, I will say that I enjoy every Linkin Park album. I think this is the one that has aged the poorest. It feels dated. Songs like Leave Out All the Rest or What I've Done, even though they are really great songs, they feel like 2006 songs or whenever this album came out. They feel like that era, and it's hard to not hear that when listening to them. While this album has a very strong start, it has a pretty lackluster back half. Besides The Little Things Give You Away, I do enjoy that song. It just kind of loses its identity a little bit. Feels the least kind of Linkin Park to me, even though I don't even think that makes sense as a sentence. Favorite song off of this album? Honestly, either Bleed It Out or Hands Held High. I really enjoy both of those. Again, very different songs, just like The Hunting Party. Bleed It Out is just so great as this like kind of anthem, and then Hands Held High is so powerful. Weakest In Between. While you can go into this album and read that In Between, like the band really loved that song making it, I kind of fall asleep to it every time. I don't know. I'm sorry. Also, fun fact with this, the band did a re-release of this album with like 2 or 3 added extra songs, and the vinyl is yellow. It's like the special edition. I just have the regular one, but check it out if you haven't heard it. Coming in at 6th place, Living Things. Again, another album that has some special artwork for the vinyl. The actual version of the album looks different. I actually can't decide which artwork I like more. I think the original, but it is also cool to have this special vinyl of it. I know there are a lot of big defenders and fans of this album, and again, kind of like Minutes to Midnight, this album has such a strong first half, and then it kind of just loses it in a lackluster back half. Songs in the back half like Roads Untraveled and Powerless are fantastic songs. I just feel like the album really loses its identity, and it goes a little too far into the EDM. I think this is also maybe in Linkin Park's latter half of their career, maybe the more accessible album, especially coming off of 1,000 Suns. This is definitely a more radio-friendly Linkin Park. Favorite off of this album has to be Lost in the Echo or Burn It Down. I feel like especially Lost in the Echo feels like true Linkin Park with the rapping and then Chester singing and the screaming and all the instruments and everything like that. Weakest, definitely Until It Breaks. I don't really know what's going on with this song. I don't really enjoy the rapping style of it, but I feel like Brad, the guitarist, coming in and having his singing debut kind of saves the end of the song, but all in all, not really a big fan of that one. 5th place, Meteora. Now, we are getting into solid top 5 Linkin Park albums. This album is through and through fantastic, and that just goes to show how great these albums are from Linkin Park if this fantastic album is in 5th place. Songs like Numb, Faint, Somewhere I Belong are just staples of Linkin Park, and they've even gotten to say that Meteora and Hybrid Theory are kind of like brother albums where they made them back to back, and it's just the same sound, same great raw energy of Linkin Park, and this is just a solid album. If you ask Linkin Park fans, Meteora comes in at number 1 a lot for favorite Linkin Park album. Favorite on this album? Numb. It has to be Numb, right? I mean, that is like the biggest Linkin Park song, maybe besides In the End. Such a staple of who they are, such a powerful song, and I honestly cry listening to it every time it comes on my playlist just for, you know, the power and emotion behind it. Least favorite off the album? Probably Nobody's Listening. I can't really get into this one no matter how hard I try. I just don't really enjoy the sound of it, but again, not a bad album. Coming in at 4th place, the newest album from Zero. I don't have the vinyl of it yet. It is on the way. I got a special edition version of it that I just ordered. It's on its way here. The Linkin Park is back. New singer, new drummer, and they are just ready and hungry, and you can feel it. And they already saying that they're recording even more new music. I love From Zero. There are really only 2 songs on it that I don't enjoy, but it just, honestly, as an album, in the best way possible, it feels safe. Like Linkin Park knew what they wanted to make, knew what they needed to make to get the fans back on track, introduce Emily as a singer, Colin as a drummer, get moving again, and through, this album feels like Linkin Park in the best way. Favorite off the album? Gotta go Two-Faced. It changes every day, honestly, listening to it, but Two-Faced is just so... Gosh, it's so good. It's so strong. I love everything about it. Good Things Go is also a very close second, and Emptiness Machine. Those are all really great songs. Least favorite, Casualty. I know a lot of people love that song. I just don't. It's a little too intense for me. I don't really enjoy like Mike screaming on it or whatever you want to call it. I think it needs a little more change in it. It all just feels kind of like one note, and I know a lot of people love it, just not really for me. Bringing us into the top 3, Hybrid Theory, the one that started it all for Linkin Park. This is, if you ask people, not the best Linkin Park album, not even the best Linkin Park album, but one of the best albums of all time. This album is fantastic through and through. Like, changed the genre of music, put Linkin Park on the map, and made them where they are today. One of the biggest bands, rock bands, not even rock band, but bands of the world. Like, they have been going for more than 20 years. This album is fantastic. While I don't have the special edition of Minutes to Midnight, I do have the special edition, gotta be careful with this, of Hybrid Theory, this red vinyl here. Fantastic. I think I've literally only played it once out of fear of, playing through the vinyl. But anyway, gosh, trying to pick a favorite song off this album, it's gotta be In the End or Paper Cut. Those are two massive songs, and what I love about Paper Cut is, the band even says it themselves, it's every band member just firing on all cylinders, doing their best, playing the instrument or singing or whatever it is. That is just such a fire banger of a song, and it has lasted more than 20 years. Least favorite, probably Forgotten. Even though I don't think there's a bad song on here, I think Forgotten actually goes as the one that is kind of forgotten on the album. It just kind of blends in as you're listening through it. But again, not a bad album, not a bad song on here. Number 3. Coming in at number 2, woohoo, One More Light. Yes, I said it. Don't come at me in the comments. Just hear me out. I know it's crazy to put this above Hybrid Theory, but this just feels like, as an album, listening to it, the band is happy and they're making the music that they want to make. And look at this cover, y'all. Like, it is just so beautiful. And maybe it's recency bias or what. I mean, I know this came out almost 10 years ago, which is crazy, but I think Hybrid Theory just feels like that angst of an album, not in a bad way, but that's just what it is. And One More Light doesn't feel like that. It feels natural, like I can just throw this album on or listen to any of the songs and not have to be like angry or feel like I'm that teenager, 13, 12-year-old again, right? I'm a big defender of One More Light. I loved it. When they released Heavy, I was immediately on board. I was like, this is it, especially coming off of The Hunting Party. This was more of the sound I was looking for, and I think the band felt like that too. So if you're in the camp of only listening to One More Light once when it came out and then writing it off and you haven't listened to it since, I urge you, go into it with an open mind, give the album another chance, and you might come to love it. That being said, this is a 10-track album. They did release Friendly Fire off of Paper Cuts, which they made during these One More Light sessions. And there's also like an early demo of What Are You Worth, I think is what it's called. It's on YouTube. If those two songs were on this album, it might have been number 1. Honestly, it would have made for a more complete, fleshed out album, and those songs are just so incredibly strong. But favorite off of here either has to be Sharp Edges or Invisible. Those both just sound like Linkin Park. Also, and Sorry for Now. I don't even know if I can pick a favorite off this album. They're just so good. I can definitely pick a least favorite though, and that is Good Goodbye. Only solely for those features, Pusha T, Stormzy. The song is kind of odd, and it comes out like right at the beginning of the album off of Nobody Can Save Me, another great song. It just feels a little weird, little out of place, feels like the band trying a little bit. I don't really enjoy it, but that's the only bad thing I can say about One More Light. But coming in at number 1, 1,000 Suns. This blew my mind when it came out. I think I was like 14 or 15 when it came out. Gosh, it was my favorite Linkin Park album then, and it's still my favorite Linkin Park album now. Just the experimental journey that this album takes you on from start to finish, from the back to the like front side, or the front side of the album to the back side of the album, listening to it as a vinyl, like having it play, is phenomenal. If you don't have this on vinyl, it goes on like press every now and then. Definitely check it out. I think I got this for, I don't know how much on Amazon. It just came in stock and I bought it immediately. I love this album. Just, so many strong songs. Waiting for the End, Blackout, The Catalyst, Burning in the Skies. I love this album. When They Come For Me, I don't even know if there's an album or a song I don't like on it. It is just like Linkin Park at their strongest. They didn't care what anybody thought. They were like, they said, we are going to make what we want to make, and they gave us this. Not only the best Linkin Park album, but one of the best albums of all time. I love this album. Maybe the only song I don't really enjoy is either like Robot Boy or The Messenger. The screaming on The Messenger is a little hard for me, even though I know that's what Linkin Park is known for, so that's kind of like a hyperbole to say. Maybe it would be Robot Boy. It goes a little too far out there for me. I kind of get lost listening to the song, but then again, front to back, it does play very, very well. And honestly, that is why I have to give this. And just look at this cover, y'all. That is why I have to give A Thousand Suns first place of Linkin Park albums. So there's my ranking of all Linkin Park albums. I know it's pretty divisive ranking, but it is just my ranking. Let me know your thoughts not only on my list in the comments, but also your ranking of Linkin Park albums if you've listened to From Zero enough. Put your rankings in the comments. If you want to include the albums I didn't include, go for it. Throw them in there. Please be sure to like and subscribe. That would really, really help me out a lot. And also check out my From Zero album review. I'll put it right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, I will see you all on the next one.